Hi, this is Annie from Wild Birds Unlimited in Westchester. And we've had a lot of customers come in recently and freaking out about their birds. Their birds seem to be disappearing. So I wanted to create a video to let you know that it's okay, that your birds are okay, what you're doing is okay, your food is okay. It is just the time of year. In the fall, there are so many natural resources for our birds. Think seeds and nuts and berries. And it's a good reminder that our bird feeders are really supplemental. Birds are getting most of their food from the natural resources. So right now, they're just out there foraging. And actually, fall is one of my favorite times to feed. And the reason is because though we might have less birds, we don't have any starlings. There are very few starlings in our yards because starlings are also out in the fields eating. So I like to feed in the fall because though I see less, I don't have to deal with all the bully birds. And my food lasts longer, which means I'm not spending as much money, which is all positive. But there are still things that you can do in the fall to make sure that your yard is bird friendly. So I'm going to talk about a couple of those things today. So the first thing is always make sure that you still have a foundational feeder up. A foundational feeder is just your feeder that's going to hold your largest amount of seed, a good blend. The reason for that is because even if you're not getting a ton of birds, they are always on the lookout, so they know where they can go to get food in the winter when it does get cold and when there aren't natural resources. So always having some sort of foundational feeder out is very important. Right now it's really important. So a lot of our birds, what they do is they're caching seed. So putting out seeds, so right here in this little cup I have peanuts in the shell. So my blue jays will swoop in, they'll grab a peanut in the shell and they'll go and they'll cache it. So they're kind of hiding it in different spots so that when they need it in the winter, they can find them and eat them in the winter. So a lot of your birds are doing that right now. So you could do peanuts in the shell or black oil sunflower. It keeps the seed a little bit fresher and nicer. So another thing you can do is you don't have to fill up your feeders all the way. You can only fill them half the way if you want. That way you're not wasting seed if you're not getting a ton of birds here. So you only have to fill it up half the way. That's fine. The birds will still see it. So that's another good way so you're not wasting your food. Another thing that's really important to have out year round is a water source. So even though they might not be eating food, like right now we've not had rain for so long, having a water source out there is really important. And remember when it gets cold to add a heater to it so that the birds have water year round. Another thing that you can be working on is you can be taking down your nest boxes and cleaning them, and you can put them back up so maybe birds will roost them in the winter, but making sure that they are ready for next spring for your birds. And some birds are already looking now for houses. They're scoping out houses for the spring. And right now, again, because it's kind of slow, it's a great time to take down some of your feeders and clean them. We suggest cleaning your feeders regularly with a 10% bleach solution so that everything stays nice and safe and healthy for the birds. So right now, it is a wonderful time to take your feeders down and clean them. And it's also a great time to start thinking about what you want to do in the winter. So you're going to start seeing some of your winter birds come in, like our juncos. Juncos are my favorite. And one of the things I always put out for my juncos is a ground feeder with millet in it. My juncos love that, and I know some people are already starting to spot juncos in their yard. So I've gotten my ground feeder out with my millet. So that's one thing you can do. You can start preparing for winter doing that. And also it's a great time to put out bark butter. Spreading bark butter on a tree or on a feeder. It's great right now because you might get some migrating birds who will actually stop and eat the bark butter when they wouldn't do seed. And bark butter is also really great in the winter. So your suet is kind of slow in the fall, but suet, like the spreadable bark butter, is great in the winter because it's so high in fat. So I've started stocking up on this, getting ready for the winter. So hopefully I've eased some of your concerns and I've given you some things that you can still do to get your yard bird friendly. And I hope that you are enjoying your fall.